Thank you very much, Sandra. My name is Chris Edkins. I will be your worship associate for today. Welcome everyone to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a church where who you are and the values that you express in your everyday lives are more important than the specifics of what you believe. We welcome everyone to join us here in this community to help each other, to explore the topics, those big topics of life, meaning, about meaning and significance, and to serve the wider community, do what we can to help serve society. So we welcome you all today. If you are here with us in person, we welcome you. And if you're joining us on Zoom, on YouTube, right now during the live stream, you are a part of this community. And also if you're listening later, welcome to our community, wherever and whenever you are listening to this service. So we have announcements in your order of service if you'd like to take a look at those. We have let's see, I want to draw attention to Spirit Quest, which is coming up in September, in mid-September. Anybody's welcome to come and join us for a camp out in the Elkmont Campground in the Smoky Mountains. It's a group that comes out of our Earth Church, but it's not limited to Earth Church people. Anyone is welcome to attend. I would definitely be going. And Len Walker, you also have an announcement today. Do you want to come up and do that for me, Len? Thank you.
Some of you longer-term members, notice I didn't say old members, but remember Marcine Ziegler. She was a long-term member of this congregation, very big contributor in all sorts of ways. Her husband's ashes are actually interred in the memorial garden out there. A few years ago, she moved to Hershey, Pennsylvania, in an assisted living facility to be near her son, who lives up there. Well, on September 7th is her 100th birthday. And Cheryl has brought in a couple of cards that are on the table back there, and please sign them after the service. I think she'll have them back here next week also. But it doesn't matter whether you were here then, just as a member of the congregation, she would like to, I'm sure, have signatures and maybe a few words from all members here. So please do that.
Thank you, Len. So I just want to mention that we do have a full-time minister who serves at this church, the Reverend Carol Badeau. She's not with us this week, so if you came specifically wanting to see Reverend Carol, she should be back next week. But we have a tradition here in the UU Church of doing lay-led services, and this is going to be one of those services. Not all has gone to plan this week. I was going to apologize to you for making you sing so much 2 weeks in a row. We were in the worship committee a few weeks ago, and Reverend Carol was saying she's not going to be here. She's out of town this week, and we need a service topic for this. And I said, well, Jan Coe is slated to play this weekend, and let's do a service on Hinduism, and Jan can lead us in some kirtan. But unfortunately, Jan is sick. She emailed me on Friday to say that she'd lost her voice and she wasn't able to sing. And then yesterday she was like, well, I might be able to come and play the piano. And then later in the day she was like, no, I've relapsed and now I've got a fever and I can't come. So we don't have Jan with us today. So thank you for Sandra for playing our gathering music for us, which Jan was going to do. And we're going to do some cut down chants to go with the sermon topic today. So thank you to the choir for being prepared to lead us in those chants without Jan's accompaniment and without Jan's singing. So we will make the best that we can of the service, and we'll have a good time of it, I'm sure. So that's what we do here at the UU Church. So I'm really pleased to be a member of this community and to have the support. And we know that whatever happens, that we're not going to have people come up to us afterwards and say, well, that really sucked, you know. Maybe you ought to consider being more professional. At least I hope not, anyway. If you do feel that way, just keep it to yourself, because I have very tender feelings. Okay. So let's see. I'm missing something. Is there a hymnal down there, please? Somebody? There's one on the chair. Oh, yeah. I'm going to invite Ellen Greenwood to come up and light our chalice for us while I read the chalice lighting words, which I think I wrote down on my sheet what reading I was going to do and what number it was. If I can find it. 6:13. This reading is from the Chandogya Upanishad. You could have golden treasure buried beneath your feet and walk over it again and again, yet never find it because you don't realize it's there. Just so, all beings live every moment in the city of the divine, but never find the divine because it is hidden by the well of illusion. And we'll also light our candles of joy and concern today. We always light one candle for all the great things that are going on in the world, for those acts of kindness that have been shown to people every day, and acts of courage that are going on in the world, and for all those things that make us weep, the things in the world that hurt our hearts, the mass shooting that happened in New York, the full spiritual air of this chant, and enjoy that too. But yeah, join in, please, if you wish. I'm going to read it through for you first, just so you know what the words are, and they are Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. So now the choir will sing this through twice, and then we'll invite you to join in. It's actually, we sing it 3 times, and the tune changes a little on each line. It rises up a little bit and then drops back down. So we sing it through. Each repetition is 3 times of that, with the tune involved. So altogether, we're going to sing it 15 times, but it's 5 complete times through. So, are we ready, guys?
If you are as ready as we are.
Okay. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. Om Tare, Tu Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That chant is a chant to Green Tara, one of the Hindu goddesses. There are lots of forms of Tara. She has a lot of different roles in the divine pantheon of Hinduism of God and goddess worship. But in the green form, she's the goddess of compassion and is the most prayed to goddess in the Hindu pantheon because of that. And this chant is an invocation to Tara to bring compassion and wisdom to people. It's the most chanted. So I'm going to make you work hard today, not only in the singing, but when you think of Hinduism as compared to Abrahamic religions that are generally practiced in the West, what would you say were some of the major differences that immediately spring to mind? What's that, sorry?
Many gods.
Many gods, yeah. Polytheistic, many gods. What else can we think of? Kind of developed in a certain geographical region in the Indus Valley in India.
Food.
The food? What's that, sorry?
The food do they abstain from eating beef?
They do have certain food taboos. Yes, that is correct. Hindus do not eat beef. They consider the cow to be a sacred animal. That is correct. The belief in karma, yes, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in this talk. So, did you have something else, Yetta?
The Ramayana.
What's Ramayana?
It's a story.
Ah, okay.
Reincarnation.
Reincarnation, yes. Reincarnation is a belief. We were talking about that a little in the spiritual practices. Nathan was telling us that reincarnation was not eliminated from Christianity until a conference in the 5th century AD. So it was kind of, you can see some of the remnants in the Bible of the fact that there was a belief in reincarnation. Somebody says that John the Baptist is the second coming of Elijah. I guess at some point they decided that it was not a part of Christianity, but originally there was kind of, I guess because regionally, all those religious ideas was kind of circulating along the trade routes and kind of got mixed in together. So anything else? I think you've kind of...
Fire, lights, maybe floating down the river.
Yes. Yeah, that's the festival of Diwali, which is celebrated in the late summer or early fall, where people light lights and float them down the river. Light is a very important part of it. Yes, kind of like Jesus is considered to be an incarnation of God on earth. The Hindus have the idea that there could be many avatars of God and the gods on earth coming down in bodily form to teach us, the things about living a better life and giving us those ethical and moral lessons. Yeah, good point.
Your appreciation for nature and sort of making animals, divine.
Yes, yeah, like the elephant-headed god Ganesha that has, is part god, part elephant. Yeah.
Death rituals.
Oh, death rituals, yes. Yeah, I understand if you go to places on the Ganges, you'll see that when somebody dies, they have a ritual where they are burned and their ashes are scattered in the Ganga. Yeah. Thank you all very much for those. You've thought of a lot more things than I thought that I noted down in my notes, so I'm glad you're so knowledgeable. That's typical of you. So the seminal texts of Hinduism are the Vedas, which were written down between 2000 and 1500 BC. So they date back a long time, and the oral traditions on which the Vedas were based go back even longer than that. They're kind of lost in the mists of time. And bringing the universe into existence, sustaining it, and then breaking things down and destroying it. And then the little things, like the everyday things of life, like love and compassion, or giving prowess in battle, and that kind of thing. So it was very common for there to be chants and hymns, such as the one that we sung to Tara today, to ask the gods to give certain benefits. And by practicing those ritual devotions, it was expected that some kind of benefit would be gained from that. I guess similar to the way that in the faith that were practiced in the Middle East that became Judaism in the end were also polytheistic, and they had various gods ruling over different geographical regions, and different tribes prayed to the different gods, and the god Yahweh became the god of the Jews and was originally worshipped as one god amongst many, and then later was considered to be the only true and valid god, and that then became a monotheistic religion. But dating back to the kind of time in which the Vedas were written down, the area of the country that, the area of the world that Judaism arose out of was kind of quite polytheistic at the time, also at that time in human history. So I think that was quite common at the time. We mentioned the concept of karma and of reincarnation, and I think that is one of the other major philosophical differences. It's a treatment of how does suffering arise in the world. In the Judeo-Christian faith, it's that a certain thing happened in the depths of history, somebody was disobedient to God, and we inherited that original sin, and that was how suffering came into the world. Whereas with the idea of and this all comes out of the idea of justice, right? We think it's not just that we should suffer with no cause. If you've been a good person and suffering still comes to you, it's like we think there should be a reason for that, and we start looking around for a reason as to why things in the world are not the way that we would like them to be or expect them to be. Why is it a disease, death and loss? And the two religions have a different approach to explaining that. Of course, in Judeo-Christianity, we have the concept of original sin, and in Hinduism, we have the idea that people's suffering is caused because they did something in a previous life, and they carried that forward to them into their next life. Or maybe if we think of a more sophisticated and philosophical form, it's that the sum total of all the acts that people do create a sort of what goes around comes around kind of idea that we all suffer from other people's acts as well as the unskillful acts of ourselves. So the cumulative conditions of the world and the actions that people carry out create this karma or action which causes us to then have to experience this suffering. And of course, the original idea was that if you led a perfect life and if you purified yourself and didn't do anything wrong, it was not that bad things would not still come to you, because you would still be suffering the karma from your past lives, but that once you had gone through that process of becoming that good, pure and perfect person, you would be freed from the cycle of birth and death, and you would be able to go into nirvana or heaven and then not have to experience the suffering of this world anymore. So that's a kind of a cool thing, maybe. One of the things I really like about Hinduism is it has a lot of examples of different versions of the divine feminine. I know that one of the things that my wife, Janet, who's now passed away, was very adamant about was that in the Abrahamic religions are quite patriarchal. God is seen as being a man, and women were generally considered to have a lesser role in society, and it was carried forward into women not being allowed to serve as priests in the church and so on and so forth. Of course, in the Hindu religion, there's plenty of examples of female gods that we can admire for their various qualities. Tara, who has what we might consider a traditional female role of being the goddess of compassion, but also Kali, who is the goddess of destruction, who, you know, is quite wrathful. And there's a story of how she was brought into existence to help kill the demons, and flew into such a rage that she was going to destroy the entire world until Vishnu came and did a dance to calm her down and get her back to a more reasonable state of mind. So we have both these examples of nice, soft, feminine goddesses, but also, you know, wrathful, you know, the mama bear kind of female goddesses as well, which I think is really cool. And of course, that need has to be satisfied. In the Catholic Church, we had female saints like Teresa of Avila, and the praying to the Virgin Mary was encouraged, so that we had that feeling of being connected to the divine feminine. So I think it's a very important aspect of religion that we need to keep in mind. So this path of yoga, the chanting of the names of the gods and invoking the names of the gods and being devoted to a particular god or goddess, is considered to be the bhakti path of yoga. That is the path of devotion, where through being worshipful and losing yourself in the worship of a divine figure, that you forget about yourself and get relieved of the bondage of self. And that is one path to liberation from all the problems that are caused by being too obsessed with yourself, you know. We know that can cause problems if people are kind of a bit too into themselves, you know, and not paying attention to what's going on around them. But it's not the only path, which I think is the other cool thing about Hinduism. There are the four major paths to liberation that are each considered to be co-equal and may also be mixed and matched and practiced individually or on their own. So that's Bhakti Yoga, which is devotion to the divine. Karma Yoga, which is doing good deeds in the world to try and work out the karma. So if we have this idea that both I may have committed some bad deeds in a previous life, which I can atone for by being good in this life and helping to serve other people, helping to set right the wrongs that I may have committed in a previous life, but also helping to to offset some of that group karma that we have that's caused by the collective evil that goes on in the world, the unskillful acts, the bad things that people do by serving those who are poor and suffering. We can offset our own suffering and help bring the world up to a level where there is less suffering going on. And that is also considered to be a path of liberation. Then we have the Jnana Yoga, which is a very intellectual path where we inquire into the nature of reality and ourselves, and by fully understanding the nature of the universe and our relationship to it, we can attain liberation through that method. And then there's Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of control, which is probably the one that we're more familiar with. That is sitting in meditation, observing and controlling the breath, and generally trying to get ourselves into a bodily state where we can quiet our mind and gain contact with the divine power that will then lead us into a liberated state where we can escape from the suffering of the world. So that's kind of like the traditional Hindu path, and the path that is what one would call the householder's path, a lot of it, right? You don't necessarily have to go into a monastery and meditate for hours. You can have the little shrine in your house. You can do your daily devotions to the gods and make the sacrifices of food and carry out the rituals in order to and give charitably to society and help to offset some of those previous sins. And when we get to the second part, I'm going to talk a little bit about some kind of more like highbrow intellectual and philosophical stuff. But before we do that, I want to do our other chant, because the other chant is integral to what I'm going to talk about next. So I'd like to invite the choir to come up, and I will also invite the congregation to join in this, just like we did with the last one, but it's a little more challenging in terms of the words. So, if you don't feel comfortable... Oh, thank you. Yes, I may need that, yeah. Yeah, I dropped one of my pieces of paper. So I'll tell you the words. Brad's put them up on the screen for us. They're up here. And I'll just speak through them a couple of times first. So obviously everybody knows Om, the sound of creation. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnam Udachate, Purnasya Purnamadaye, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm going to go through it again, just speaking the lines, and then we will sing it through twice with the choir, and then you're welcome to join in at any point. So it's Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, are we ready, guys? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Good job, guys. We've been given a difficult job to do today, but we're really rocking it, so. This is fullness. That is fullness. Having taken this fullness away from that fullness, fullness still remains. That's the meaning of that chant. And it comes from the Upanishads, which were added to the end of the Vedas in around 600 BC, around about the time that Buddhism was also coming about as an offshoot of Hinduism. So, to explain the meaning of the chant a little bit more fully, it's that this manifest universe, everything that we see around us, the sound, the light, the people, the stars in the sky, the sun, the moon, the thoughts that we have in our heads and the emotions, all these are part of the manifest world that we see. And that is the unmanifest world. That is, how do all these things arise? What do they arise from? Something that existed before there was any universe. There was something that was pre-existing to that, out of which it all arose, the unmanifest. But even though the manifest universe has arisen out of this unmanifest, the unmanifest still remains whole and capable of putting out more and more things, like basically in an unlimited fashion. It's not that it's infinite in the terms that we think of it, in that it's of infinite size and infinite duration. It's that it is beyond time and space and eternal, in that it's always here now, and all time and space is able to arise from it. Between the time that the Vedas were written and the time that the Upanishads were added, the forest sages who went off into the forests of India to investigate the nature of their own consciousness came up with the cosmology that is embodied in the Upanishads. And let me see, let me turn to the right page of my notes to make sure I'm not missing here. So let me backtrack a little bit and talk about the way that in the West that we generally think of the origin of the universe. We tend to think that in the beginning there was some kind of event that brought matter and energy into this existence, and at that point space and time were created, and that from this energy and matter that came into existence somehow, the stars formed and the planets, and then the chemistry of biology came about through all the elements that had happened in the, and then biological life started to evolve, and only at that point did they then become conscious beings, that consciousness is something that came out of the complexity of biological life, and therefore that before there was any life there wasn't really any consciousness in the universe. So in stark contrast to that, this philosophy, the philosophy of the Upanishads, holds that before there was anything there was awareness. The awareness was in existence before there was any kind of universe, and the universe emerged in that awareness. And everything that is the material universe that we see around us is something that is arising in consciousness or awareness. But the underlying power, it's difficult to give it a name. The nameless thing that existed before there was time, space, and matter still is there and still can be touched by us beings. And that when the forest sages went into the forest and they meditated and stilled their minds, they were able to have an experience that is the original experience of what it was that existed before there was any universe, and that still exists as the underlying nature of all reality. And I, for one, find it to be a fascinating proposition. The other thing it states is that the awareness that we have, that we use to perceive and have a subjective experience of the universe, is the same consciousness that existed before the universe existed. And each of our individual experiences of all that is the universe is an individual perspective of consciousness on the universe, but it is not different or separate from the original consciousness that is that in which everything arises. So it has some quite startling implications, which I very much love. So one of the things that I find fascinating, comparing this philosophy and way of looking at the world compared to our materialistic view, is the implications it has for how we interact with the world. In this philosophy, the Upanishads, the personal experience that we have is the most important thing. The experience that we have of sound, sight, the bodily sensations that we have, our experience of our thoughts, and the experience that we have of seeing other people in the world and doing things is the primary experience. It's the mode of creation, which is the same mode of creation by which the universe was brought into being. It's not that that none of you guys exist out there and I'm the only one, I'm God and I'm the only one seeing anything. We're all sharing in this common experience, and we know that there is some kind of reality here that we're all partaking of, that we can say we're having some kind of common experience. And the reason that we're having that common experience, according to this philosophy, is that we're all partaking in the same consciousness, and that we're all aware of the things that are arising in the same consciousness. In the materialistic viewpoint, I find myself thinking that if we really believe the scientific propositions, that the way of coming to conclusions about reality is that we examine the physical and material world, and that we then have to check with another person to say, am I crazy here, or is this really true? Would this be reproduced in some kind of concrete way within the world? And then after that, we've kind of verified our theories, we've checked that it marries with what is in the world that we're seeing, and then we come to the conclusion that that's true. But from the point of view of the philosophy in the Upanishads, the whole process of us examining the world has to happen within consciousness. If there were no consciousness, if we were not aware, if we did not have a subjective experience of the world, we could not see the universe or experience it or communicate with anybody else about it or formulate ideas and thoughts and theories about it, which all appear in consciousness. And therefore, in many respects, there would be no reality if there was not consciousness. If there was just a mechanical universe without awareness, nobody would know that it was there or what was happening. And we would not have any interest in finding out whether there was meaning in it, or it wouldn't be painful to anybody, or it would not be pleasurable to anybody. We would not know the taste of chocolate or the prick of a thorn, you know. So I just think it has the most incredible philosophical ramifications, and I never get tired of thinking and learning more about this particular philosophy and way of looking at the world. And it kind of means that before there was, if consciousness did not exist before there was evolved organic life, then there kind of was no universe before, you know? As soon as the first conscious creature arose from out of the mud and started looking around, that was really when the universe came into existence, you know, from the scientific point of view. Because before that, nobody could confirm that there was a universe by looking at it, formulating a theory, or performing an experiment to prove that it existed. So, you know, I don't know. Did the universe exist before the first person came into being? It's the old koan that says, does the tree that falls in the forest make a sound if there's no one around to see it? And of course, the philosophy of the Upanishads neatly dodges that by saying, no, the only reality is consciousness, and everything arises in consciousness. Before the universe existed, it was there. It will still be there when the universe comes to a close. Just as when our individual consciousnesses, our individual perspective on the world came into being when I was born, and when this body dies, my individual perspective will merge into the overall consciousness and become one with that. So, nice. I like it. Okay, well, I'll be around for more conversation afterwards, but let's wrap things up. I'm going to talk a little bit about our justice and generosity opportunities. Our justice and generosity partner for this quarter is Keep the Tennessee River Beautiful. We have boxes at the back here. We have QR codes on them. There's one for contributing to this community of the church, and another one if you would like to contribute to our partner in justice and generosity. So those boxes are at the back there, or you can give online through our website. And probably if you're listening on the YouTube, then you've got the link to the website there on the YouTube. So. And next week's service, Yetta will be partnering with a lady from this organisation, Keep Tennessee River Beautiful, to talk about that work, and we'll be singing the blues, the Tailwater Blues. So don't miss out on that, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to close, I think. I want to close with this reading. I hadn't planned this because we'd planned to go out, to take ourselves out with another chant, which I'm nixing because I think it's too difficult and we've all sung enough. And I'm also losing my voice. But
When is the voice in February?
Oh, Oh, we're going to do joys and concerns. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, let's do that before the closing. Yeah, thank you, Judy. I had forgotten. I've forgotten. Thank you very much. I've had a lot on my mind. Yes, in this community, sometimes we do joys and concerns, and it's an opportunity to come up and share about things that are going on in your life, either something that is a joy or something that you would like to share with the community, some problem or sadness that's going on in your life that you would like to bring to the community and say, you know, I'm struggling with this, and I want to share it with you at least to lessen the burden. And maybe even get a little bit of practical help with it. So what we do is we have some candles up here. If you would like to come up, I will have the microphone, and I'll hand you the microphone if you come up. Tell everybody your name, and then tell them what your joy or concern is, and I will light a candle for you. Okay. Thank you, Judy. I would have forgotten.
It's a group effort.
It is, yes. Thank you. Are there any joys and concerns that anyone wants to share?
Well, as you might guess, I have
So I'm Judy Winchester, and I've been waiting for weeks for show and tell because I wanted to share my happiness that my grandson has announced in his engagement, and there will be a wedding in a year on Labor Day weekend. And but I got a place reserved in a park. It'll be outdoors, more or less. And so my grandson met this other fellow as bicyclists. They both had an interest in bicycling. They have covered a lot of miles together. I think they have done the whole Erie Canal, of every part that's available to bicycle along, and other things, and gone camping, and they're all kind of outdoors related, so it's appropriate that the wedding should be in a park, and I'm looking forward to his joining with somebody for a lifetime of happiness.
Thank you, Judy.
Well, I'm Ellen Greenwood, as most of you know, and I would like to light a candle this morning to celebrate the life of Dwight McCarter. Dwight McCarter is another of my hiking friends who has passed away. Dwight was just a larger-than-life character. He was a park ranger for many, many years. His specialty was tracking. He's part Cherokee, and he said his Cherokee heritage helped him with these just amazing tracking skills. He, appears just every once in a while in the local news. There will be a special feature for him, and reliving one of those old stories of very high profile searches that he was involved in. After he retired, he was for many years a guide, a hiking guide, and a storyteller at Blackberry Farm, and he led our group on lots of wild and crazy hikes and told his stories. He had lots of knowledge from the mountains and from his Cherokee heritage for his stories, and he, like a good storyteller, you never let the truth get in the way of his really good stories. But I just feel extremely honored and fortunate to have had him in my life, and would like to celebrate his life.
Thank you, Ellen.
Hi, my name is Mary Frances, and I got a lot going on in my life, so I'm sorry. I'm going to try to keep this brief. I've got, I think instead of two lies and the truth, or two truths and a lie. I've got one joy and two concerns. So I'll start with my joy. My son Mozart's been moved into his dorm room, and I'm really excited. And the chalice that the church gave him, that was one of the old RE chalices, made its way into a college dorm room. He put it up himself. I was like, okay. And he was very happy. So I want to just let you know that he's bringing a part of Westside with him. And then, so yay. And it's been kind of interesting for me because a lot of people will tell me, I remember when you came in with 3 little boys. And now I'm coming in with just one not so little boy anymore. I love you. Okay, he's not paying attention. And then at 5:30 this morning, I got a phone call. My husband is visiting friends in Maryland, and he was in extreme pain. And he's in the ER right now. I don't know if, quite what the outcome's going to be, but I may have to take an emergency trip up to Maryland, and hopefully he's able to be okay. So I just want everyone to keep them in their thoughts. And then my last little bit here is that I have to go back to court this week. So everyone's continued positive thoughts would be appreciated. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mary Frances. I ought to light some other candles for you, not just one, for all those.
Hi, my name is Rosie. It's just as I would like a candle to be lit for someone named Tara. She is my brother's wife's daughter who has stage 4 cancer in her bone. They've sewn her up. I always thought her name should have been Tara, but I did not know there was a goddess named Tara. So I just run into all these strange coincidences all the time, but she is a mother. Her grandmother, her mother, and her father are all deceased. She's only in her 40s. And, you know, they all smoked. They were all smokers. I hate to say if anybody's still one. You know, but honestly, terrible things have happened to all of them. And it's just gone on forever. Brexic, and she lived in an 80-something pound state for like 10 or something years. And they went to see her every day. She didn't know where she was. But it did influence my brother to not want my mother to live near the end of her life. And not to live beyond saving like that in a vegetative state for years and years and years and years. But honestly, I have a great faith and belief system. And I do believe that there can be spontaneous healing and that people need to pray and they need to consult their heart. And all these people live close to the land, but one of them was a Scarborough, and I was just really sorry once I found the Scarborough land in Oak Ridge that this childhood friend of mine named Carol didn't get to see it, the mother of Tara. Tara has a sister that's just gone wild, and she's in her 20s, and just all kinds of horrible things, family stuff. I do have many a concern, but thank you, Chris, for bringing up the name Tara and the choir.
Thank you, Rosie.
I'd just like a candle, but for my son Mike, who's today is the anniversary of death. But to have a life for him.
Thank you, Diane.
Hi, I'm Melanie Goldstein. I would just like to bring some joy to the world and say that we are fostering another beagle named Murphy, who's 5, and he's cute, and he's well-behaved, and he doesn't make accidents in the house. We've only picked him up one day ago. So last night was his first night, and he's just a sweetheart. And I can't tell you what joy we get from just getting them settled, what it's like to live in a real house. And then it's so nice because when they get adopted, it's such a much easier transition for them. So anyhow, we like Murphy.
Thank you, Melanie. Well, I will light one final candle for all the joys and concerns that are on people's hearts that are unexpressed, and for those who could not be with us today because they are traveling or couldn't be with us in person. Did we have anything from the chat? No. Okay, thank you. I'm apt to forget that. I apologize. I'm going to read today's closing sitting, if that's okay with you, since it's a little longer. I always feel like when we have to stand and hold hands when there's a longer reading, it's kind of it's a bit much. But so I'll ask you just to sit and listen to these closing words as we draw our service to a close today. And this is actually not a Hindu thing, but a Taoist thing. I just want to draw attention to the fact how similar it is to the chant that we did about the origin of the universe. So this is the Tao, 606 in our hymnal. Before creation, a presence existed, self-contained, complete, formless, voiceless, mateless, and changeless, which yet pervaded itself with unending motherhood. Though there can be no name for it, I have called it the way of life. Perhaps I should have called it the fullness of life, since fullness implies widening into space, implies still further widening, implies widening until the circle is whole. In this sense, the way of life is fulfilled. Heaven is fulfilled, earth is fulfilled, and a sentient person is also fulfilled. There are 4 amplitudes of the universe. A sentient being is one of them. People rounding the way of earth, earth rounding the way of heaven, heaven rounding the way of life, until the circle is full. Go in peace.